And welcome to episode 5 of the Goblin Ringleader podcast. I'm your host, Jack, and today we'll be going over a match that I played last night at Nerd Rage Gaming against Richard on Elves. Goblins versus Elves. Oh, it was such a fun match. This is, I would say, one of the most exciting matches that I've played of Magic in a very long time. And I've played a lot of Magic recently, and it just felt so good to have two very strong decks just doing their thing and just slugging it out. Huge shout out to Nerd Rage Gaming for having me. I love playing at this store. And I was telling Richard, huge shout out to Richard, phenomenal guy. I got to talk to him, very fun guy, very entertaining. Um, and he told me he'd been playing for almost 30 years. And I thanked him because Nerd Rage Gaming is the way that I felt like as a younger Magic player I could learn and get better is by watching people who were professionals. And Nerd Rage was like the place that you could go to be around people who were better than you, who were in the pro circuit, who went to the actual tournaments, and to be able to play on this playmat that I've watched so many times is amazing. And I just want to say huge shout out to Nerd Rage Gaming, huge shout out to Richard, and yeah, huge shout out to everybody working in the store. And for what they do to for the Magic community, because we are a community, and so together we rise. So let's get into it. Richard had to go to 6, unfortunately, and then I was able to keep a 7. The commentaries
You're gonna be like, oh, sick, let's watch this.
amazing.
And now it's in modern. Oh, Richard starting with coverage's second least favorite basics of all time. The oil slicked basics, as these are the second hardest to read after the maps from Lord of the Rings. But it's the Elves deck. We got mostly forest. Starting on Heritage Druid, so the if you tap 3 elves, make 3 mana, and Jack starting on Skirk Prospector, sack a goblin, make a red.
Yeah, it looks like both these decks really want to kind of ramp into their combos, so makes sense we're playing our ramp, quote unquote, in Heritage Druid and also Skirk Prospector, trying to get up to those big plays in the turns 2, 3, 4.
One interesting thing here, Richard playing Yavimaya, the card that gives both players forest, may not know that Jack has 4 pick your poison on Jack's sideboard. So it may not come up now, it may not come up ever. We did give him free green mana as Richard plays Dwynen's Elite, makes an elf because he already controls an elf. That's 3. Uses for an Elvish Mystic, 2 floating. That's another Dwynen's Elite. The elves are here.
This turn was amazing. The fact that he was able to go turn 2 put 5 power into play, phenomenal. I have a Snoop and I have a Harbinger in hand, so in this spot I am looking at my opponent like, okay, you could have a Cord for Nazuri. You could have there's a couple cards you could have. He could have a Coco. If he has Coco, I'm pretty dead because he could just go double Shaman of the Pack and then attack, and I'm in a really tough spot. So I'm as even though I have a turn 3 kill here against the mono green deck, I still feel like I'm not in the best spot in the world. My opponent goes Fetch Shock, Overgrown Tomb, and he's gonna cast a Shaman of the Pack. This is a nasty Shaman of the Pack. It deals 7. 3 mana, deals 7, so 3/2. Boom! Puts me down to 10. Yeah, this game was very, very fast. He attacks. He's doing a really good Goblins impression, honestly. I killed the Mystic just to try to choke him on some mana. Even though he has infinite mana with the Heritage Druid, like, fundamentally. I untap, I draw, I say, have you seen the combo? Okay, I'm going to tutor the top card of my library. It's going to become a Kiki-Jiki. Kiki-Jiki is going to let me tap to untap it. And then the last one is going to I'm going to tap. Kiki-Jiki is going to let me tap the Snoop to create an untapped hasty copy that I'm also going to tap. Do that an infinite number of times, 666 million. That's why I used the 2 6s in the dice, just to show that I had gone infinite. Then, the last one will enter untapped. You tap to create a hasty copy of your Harbinger. I have to get the tokens out to show them because there's people at home who haven't seen this combo before. And I don't do it the cleanest in the world. But these are my tap snoops. The last one's going to enter untapped. I realized that I put the tokens on the snoop, and so that's not the way that we're going to do it. So we have the last one that enters untapped with haste. We're going to tap. It's going to make a hasty copy of this one. Okay. that trigger is going to resolve. It's going to change the top card to a Sling Gang, which then is going to allow all these Snoops to have the ability to Drain Gain. And then I can Drain Gain you for 666 million. Game 2, he says. And I was so dead if I did not have the turn 3 there, because his start was very, very aggressive. And, yeah.
No words for this game right now. That was incredible.
Jack here, submitting a sideboard. So let's take a quick peek at these Pick Your Poisons, Chalice of the Void, Dampening Sphere, the Filigree Silex, 3 Leyline of Sanctity, and 3 Leyline of the Void. So,
if I'm Goblins right now, I'm looking at these Chalice of the Void, being like, I have two creatures that cost 1 mana. I want to slam these Chalices on one.
And you don't mean 2 playsets. You mean literally the 2 copies of Skirk Prospector and our Aether Vials. If we can just play out our own Vial on turn number 1, or play out the Prospector turn 1, on turn 2 slam the Chalice for 1, we can stop.
Yeah, so they had literally drew up the line that I brought in. I brought in 2 Chalices, and I shaved a Vial, and I shaved a Ruin Blaster, because taking a land away from Elves is nothing. Because they have, I think half their deck is 1 mana spells. Even though they do run Cavern of Souls as well, it would bottleneck them on what they're trying to do. And so shout out to Adam and Dom in coverage for some awesome commentary. I'm going to be jumping back and forth between that, because they, when I don't have anything to say, they have some really good insight. And so, yeah, my sideboard plan versus Elves is very straightforward. I'm just trying to go turn 3 kill. If I can't go turn 3 kill, the game gets much more convoluted, because they are a straightforward aggressive deck.
Players are shuffling at ASAP. Pretty fast match. Elves here having Scavenging Ooze, Elvish Champion, Nature's Claims, Abrupt Decays, Dismembers, Force of Vigors, and 3 Leyline of the Voids. One of these scenarios, you might just be looking to load up on removal if you can, right? Maybe you just want these Decays and these Dismembers to try to make sure what just happened doesn't happen to you again.
Yeah, against combo elves, taking the 4 life from Dismember might not really matter.
It means I'm not dead, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'll take 4 to not take 100.
Yeah, although I will say, Jack has sometimes just played a lot of Goblins against me. I look at them and go like, yeah, that's like 20 power edge die.
So we'll need to be careful. We may just need an answer here and there. And if you're Richard, you might bring in I believe it's Elvish Champion, because you have the ability to give your opponent a bunch of forest, give all your elves forest walk. If the board gets really gummed up, right, it won't always be combo draw versus combo draw. We might just try to value Goblin, right? Just put a bunch of guys in play, just kind of, your elves are looking at my Goblins, and they're just kind of 1/1s and 2/2s trading off for each other. So Richard may want to try to push through, and if Jack at any point shows him a green mana source in Jack's mana base, if he needs to go get his Stomping Ground or whatever, just because that's how his mana draws up, Richard might go for that Lord in game number 2, or game number 3.
Yeah. Also, taking a look at, looks like Richard took 1 mulligan. Any, like, aggro deck that every single card matters, like Burn or Elves, sometimes you have to go to 6 and you feel so bad about going to 6.
Because you just have 1 less piece of cardboard. You don't know whether it's a land or not versus you and your opponent. Both these players starting on their Cavern of Souls and their non-counterspell based matchups.
3 Cavern of Souls on the table. Can we go for 4?
Richard here with this Nettle Sentinel. This is a big part of you can get it alongside the Heritage Druid.
Cavern of Souls is so funny in this matchup, because it just makes our mana perfect. It's an untapped duel. But this race was actually really funny for a while, because he attacked with a Nettle Sentinel, and then I attacked with my Skirk Prospector after lording it, and then he goes, cast a Lord, untap, swing, so good. I believe they're talking about Den of the Bugbear here, and how Den of the Bugbear is a goblin that makes goblins.
Land from that set from AFR.
Yeah, it's this in the cave, right? The
Hall
of the Storm, right?
Hall of the Storm
Do you want the little aggressive red one or the huge blue kill one? As Richard used that Dismember, we saw immediately. You put Conspicuous Snoop in play, I've immediately killed it.
100%. That is the piece of the combo. Now, it looks like Jack was playing a fetch land or something like that, so Jack will get to exile a card based from the Runavelt.
Yes, the Horde Master, I believe. This Goblin Lord that allows you to get some pieces of value. I see Jack checked it. I think he might have shuffled after the fact, so Jack doing a competitive REO. He's like, I don't think I get this card. I'll remember next time. Passes it back to Richard. And remember...
that was the first trigger that I've missed all night. Up until this point was it was in response to a fetch. He killed my dude. The trigger should have gone on the stack and resolved first. Because it's my trigger, I missed it, and so I elected, because I didn't want to call a judge and stop the game. I felt like I was still in a fine spot. I elected to just miss the trigger, move on with the gameplay. It wouldn't have been anything like big. There wouldn't have been a problem, but I just wanted to keep the flow of the game going for coverage, just for everybody at home. I wanted this to be a back and forth. And still a really good game. So I tap 3 mana. I cast a Harbinger. Harbinger's gonna put a Slinging on top. Slinging is just gonna try to buy me some time.
Play that we can sacrifice a creature in play to make a mana and get that impulse draw of that top card from this Horde Master. So you can see even Jack here playing his Bogart Harbinger setting up, knowing exactly what the top card of his library is. And now they have those slinging effects. So Jack can even choose, do I want to throw and like gain and drain on some of these to try to get access to more cards? There's a lot of options. The Goblin deck is fiddly. The more and more it starts leaning on this like combo piece, the less and less it seems more like the put a Lord in play and turn everything sideways style deck.
No, definitely. This is definitely not your kitchen table Goblin deck.
No.
This is your, we're going to kill you on turn 3 or turn 4. We're going to combo you. You better have removal for us, because even if, like, sometimes you go against the combo, and sometimes you just have, like, 2 Horde Masters in play, and you have a bunch of Goblins and whatever, and you're like, I'm taking, like, 10 a turn.
It's a black-red combo deck with, like, a Goblin sheen over the top of it. Like, it's one of those situations where all of these cards happen to be Goblins, and that's why it works, right? The Bogart Harbinger needs those cards to be Goblins for this whole combo to work. The fact Tiki Jiki is a Goblin is the other part. But at its base, it's a Goblin deck. But if all these cards weren't Goblins, someone would still be trying to do this thing. But the fact that it is Goblins lets you do both. You get to do this, like, fun, cool Goblin Lord deck, and if you're a Goblin fan, you play a Goblin deck. But you also have this backdoor, maybe even front door combo.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like Yawgmoth in that way, where, like, if you squint really hard, sometimes the Goblin deck kind of looks like Yawgmoth. Like, they have all these, like, ways and toolbox kits of, like, assembling this combo, getting value, and sometimes you're, like, waiting for them to combo, and they're just hitting you with Young Wolves, and you die.
In this case, it's, Horde Masters and 1/1 tokens and Sling Gangs, and you look at your life total, and it says 5, and it suddenly says 0. Because Jack right now has Richard at 9, has 4 Goblins in play, and the ability to sacrifice them to gain and drain for 4 with his Sling Gang Lieutenant. So Richard's kind of at 5 the second Jack wants him to be.
100%. And I think one thing I can really say of Richard right now is this Lord lets you pay green to draw a card every single time. If we get to untap with this, I forget the exact name of the Lord, but it taps itself to add a green mana for every single elf you have.
This Elvish Archer we just played here.
It is. That's going to be so much mana to be able to cast so many spells with this.
Yes. But what Jack gets to do here in combat is block with these little goblins and then sacrifice them to gain and drain after they've already blocked, right? This is when you get in, like, the real nitty-gritty of, like, how the stack works and how blocking works. These creatures are declared blocked even if these goblins go away. So that allows Jack to block with them and throw them but not take any of the damage from combat. And now putting Richard down to 8, giving himself a little slight life bump for Jack, going up to 10, and still a couple cards here in hand to try to fight through what's left.
I'm not sure what the stats are on the creature in play. I was actually thinking, if we attack with this Goblin guy, and not the Goblin guy, the Den of the Bugbear.
Oh yes,
that's 4 damage with the Den of the Bugbear.
And you can throw both of them, right?
Plus throwing them, like, might have been enough to get there. Probably not though.
So this is the point of contention. This is where I throw the match. So I have the ability, if we go back, I have 6 mana. The cards in my hand.
Sure what the stats are on the creature in play?
So the cards in my hand are Snoop, Pashlik Mons, 3 lands, or 2 lands. And I have a Ringleader in exile. So I can cast the Ringleader, and it will look at the top 4 and put all goblins into my hand. However, when I cast this, I elect to cast the Snoop first in case there's a munitions expert on top. It's a Kiki Jiki, so I know that I can win in my upkeep if I can make it to my upkeep. So I don't want to cast this Ringleader because the Ringleader will change the top card of my library from Kiki Jiki to something else. So I think that it's better to play the Pashlik Mons, but it's not because even if I'm playing to that line, I leave myself with one less card in my hand because I lose the Ringleader no matter what. I play the Pashlik Mons, and now because I play the Pashlik Mons, I'm in a spot where I have to block. And also, so that's the first mistake that I made. The first mistake was not to play the Ringleader and to play out the Pashlik Mons too fast. I have enough mana where if I play the Ringleader then, it fits, like it uses up all my mana, and then I go to my next turn, I have a Pashlik Mons and the Kiki Jiki with all the other cards I drew off the Ringleader, if there are other cards. It doesn't help me to not cast the Ringleader here, because now I don't have it for next turn, and I'm also losing my Pashlik Mons here. The other punt that I make is when I count, because he plays a war chief, Warley? He plays a war chief, and he's able to activate it with Archdruid. So he has 1, 2 lords, and he gives it +2/+2. I counted wrong. I think that these 1/1s are 5/5s. I go 5, 5, 8. That's not correct. This is 3, 5, 6, 7. So it's 7, 4, and 4. So I have to chump the 7. I can block. I can choose not to block the other two, or I can choose not to block one of them. I can choose not to block one of them. So in this position, I block one too many guys, and I leave myself with neither a Sling-Gang or a Pashlik Mons. And so now, because I can't cast the Ringleader, and I don't have the Pashlik Mons in my hand, I've put myself. I have punted. I chose a line where I have neither Pashlik Mons or Sling-Gang in play, and that's because I miscounted. I thought that I thought there was one more Lord, or that War Chief was 3. And if I just took a second to take a deep breath and count, I would have had this game. But as is, I just have a land in hand, and I can just cast the Kiki Jiki. I don't have anything else. And this is when I realized that I've made a mistake. And I cast the Kiki Jiki and concede, because I'm at 7. My opponent has 2 blockers. Yep, and it was just my mistake. I counted wrong.
We're on to a game number 3.
Yeah, really seeing the power that Archdruid just making so much mana for a single creature, allowing it to single-handedly turn on Elvish Warmaster.
What if I told you pretty soon that card's going to cost 2 mana, not 3, when MH3 comes out? Priest of Titania reprint into MH3.
Ooh.
So the least important part of Elvish
Priest of Titania.
It's +1/+1, right? That's what you're paying the 1 extra mana for.
Priest of Titania is going to be cracked. There's going to be some cards from Modern Horizons 3, like Null Elemental Blast, and I don't think that Winter Moon is going to be as amazing, but I've been doing a lot of shorts on the channel for the Modern Horizons 3 spoilers. Check them out if you want. And if you need any singles, or if you need cards, check out nerdragegaming.com for all your Magic needs. Hashtag not sponsored. The spoilers look insane so far. One of my favorite cards is the Bear. It's a white and a green for a 2/2 legend. All other creatures have base power and toughness 2/2 and are bears in addition to their other types. So it takes all your opponent's rhinos and it just downshifts them. Now I do feel bad. I do feel bad because Richard did mulligan to 6 every single one of these games. And I was able to keep 7s. Hey, perfect, literally perfect transition. NerdRageGaming.com if you need any of your single needs. Force of Negation, Ketria Chion, The Wandering Emperor, Bowmasters, the 4th Aerolingus. If you need to go crazy or pimp out your commander deck, do any sort of magic thing, check out NerdRageGaming.com. So it looks like we've resolved our mulligans. Resolving our mulligans. Um, this is a game that I do not. So game one, I did not have the combo. I drew the Harbinger. I had the Snoop, and I did not. I drew the Harbinger. No, I had the Harbinger. I drew the Snoop. Game Game two, I had the combo. Game three, this game, I have two Snoops, but I do not have a Harbinger. So I'm just hoping that the Snoops will allow me to draw cards. And Lightning Rod removal away from. Well, there's a Skirk on top. This is something that, like, if you have the ability to cast the top card of your library and you don't want to just waste another draw on it, because in my mind, there could be a land beneath this card. And if I'm going to draw a land in a next turn, I'd rather draw that land this turn and get that bad draw out of the way. So I'm going to violin a Skirk to sack a Skirk to play the Skirk off the top. Then I have that land on top, so then when I untap and I go to my turn, I don't have to worry about it as much. Pass the turn, my opponent untaps. Plays a basic force and attacks for 2. Offers the trade. I subtly decline. He abrupt decays it. Abrupt decay is really good. Dead. Dead Snoop. You just pushed him through the window. Untap, upkeep. Trigger goes to 2, and I'll draw. I'll play the backup Snoop off the Vial. And I'm hoping there's a 2-drop on top. The Lord is best possible flip. Literally best possible flip. Let's hear him talk.
Filed in our Snoop. Good sequencing.
Honestly, every single time I see of Aether Vial against me at Goblins, I know I have to hold up removal every single time because that Aether Vial says put a Snoop into play.
Yes, do not let them sneak a Snoop in on, and that's how you're going to lose the game. And Richard here with 4 cards in hand, but used our turn to interact, played our Abrupt Decay. We have this Nettle Sentinel. We do not have the huge, wide board that we saw this Elves deck winning its games with, and we're seeing the Goblins deck starting to set up shop. A little reveal of the top card. That's fine. And if you are super perceptive, if you are the Snoop's opponent, you can start slowly tracking what cards they draw, right? The top is revealed. So depending how clued in you want to be, at your weekly Modern event, you can start knowing exactly what cards are in your opponent's hand as well. You get to see all of their draw steps.
It's perfect information.
Yeah, it looks like Richard is thinking about playing this Heritage Druid. I'm not sure they have enough to play Heritage Druid and play more in hand, because I know at least it looks like maybe the top card's a land.
Oh, we might be glutted on lands and 3-drops?
Well, Richard's doing a lot of math, so I'm assuming there's some very powerful cards in there. Right. Richard's trying to figure out how to cast all of them.
If they start tapping the fingers on the table, that's how we're going to know we're in trouble. There's the War Master, so there's a 2 to go with this Heritage Druid.
And we get a token. We can use Nettle Sentinel to tap for mana, cast the green spell in hand, untap Heritage Druid.
Yep. Yeah, you're seeing that's the battery, right? And the leftovers for Richard is another Heritage Druid and Collected Company. So, not quite sure what the top 6 cards could be, but most likely worth finding out. Using these 3 for a little bit of mana, untapping, getting this Heritage Druid. Not using our Nettle Sentinel to tap for that, but that is a-okay.
When he taps all the mana for the Heritage Druid, the Heritage Druid, the only thing that I think about is that he has a Coco in hand, because he only has 3 mana, and it's the only reason that he wouldn't be able to play out his entire hand. It's the only card in his deck that's more than 3 mana. So when I flip the Munitions Expert, I go, holy hell, I get to kill this War Chief, because the War Chief is one of the most dangerous cards in his deck. I have this. I get to cast this. I draw the second Snoop and cast it, and I have a Harbinger on top. But I don't leave myself any black mana, so I'm not able to win this turn. Totally fine though. I feel like I'm in a safe spot, and I can't possibly lose from 17 with blocks. I am very sorely mistaken though if I did not flip that Munitions Expert to shoot down the War Chief when my opponent goes Nettle Sentinel into Coco, I would have been very dead. If he had one more creature when he cast that Nettle Sentinel, and he double flips Shaman of the Pack. Double Shaman of the Pack for 14. I go to 3. And I go, okay, I have all these blockers. I will block. And he taps out and he passes. And I have the combo. I'm able to go Violin the Harbinger, change the top card to a Kiki Jiki. I take a little bit of time, and I feel bad now, in hindsight. Taking so much time doing the token thing after showing him the combo in game one. I wanted to do it for the people on camera at home. Just in case they had never seen it before, I want them to see the basic mechanics of how the deck works, and then just be able to show them that's just how that's how the combo works. Elves versus Goblins, one of the craziest games that I've played in a long time. Richard was a fucking angel. He was an amazing soul. Both of us get quiet when we play, and so it was nice to be with somebody who was like in the lines and competitive, and he stuck with it the entire time. His deck was faster than mine. I just happened to have a combo in it, so it was amazing. And shout out to Richard, playing for over 30 years. Fucking legend in the community, works at the store. Shout out to Nerd Rage Gaming. Go check them out for all your single needs if you need any products. And this has been Goblin Ringleader, and I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Stay hydrated, okay?